Chapter 6, Part B, top of page 145, creating a quick mask. We're going to change the color of his glasses frames. Notice in the completed one that they have changed the color of his glasses to green. So we're going to change the color of his glasses, hide the magazine background so that all you've got is layer 0 copy 2. And you can then delete layer 0 and 0 copy because we're done with them. Double click layer 0 copy 2 and rename this model. Click the Edit in Quick Mask mode in the Tools panel. We've been working in Standard mode by default. We're now in Quick Mask mode. Quick Mask mode puts a red overlay, which is something that we used to use back in the day for printing. It was a rubylith or a red acetate was used to mask off images in a traditional print shop. You could only apply changes to the unprotected areas, so we're going to add a rubylith to protect areas. In the tool panel, you're going to select the brush tool. In the options bar, make sure that your mode is normal. Open the brush pop-up panel and select a small 13 pixel brush. You could go even smaller if you wanted, and click outside of the panel to close it. Paint the earpiece of the glasses frame. The area you paint will appear red, creating the mask. So we're going to paint around here to get his frame, down the side of it. Continue painting with the brush tool to mask the earpiece and the frame around the lenses. Reduce the brush size, and you can get some of the smaller areas. You can go in his hair and get those areas in here. You can take it down quite small if you want to. Don't worry about the hair overlapping the earpiece. You can go ahead and paint over any of that. That's fine. In Quick Mask, Photoshop automatically defaults to grayscale mode with a foreground of black and a background of white. When you're painting in Quick Mask, you have to keep those in mind. So I'm painting this. If I accidentally get over and onto his skin, all I need to do is swap the colors. The shortcut key for that is pressing the letter X. And if I get white, I can paint back over and get rid of the rubylith. Okay, so I can change back, paint it in, change out, take it out again. Painting in white makes things visible, black makes things invisible. So we can make corrections, take things out, put them back, simply by changing whether we're painting with black or painting with white. Click the Edit in Standard mode now to exit the Quick Mask, and you'll get the area selected. Unless you save a Quick Mask as a more permanent alpha channel, Photoshop is going to discard that temporary mask once you convert it to a selection. Select Inverse to select the area, because right now we've got everything else selected. All the outside area is selected, so we need to select the inverse to select the glasses. And again, I'm going to zoom back in here so I can see what I've got. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. We're going to go to Hue and Saturation in Image Adjustments. Change the hue. You can make it whatever color you'd like. If you want to go, they suggest a green color, but you can make it whatever you want. Maybe you'd like to go purple. Maybe you'd like to go aqua or something else. It's fine. Just change the color. When you're done with it, say OK. Now you can Control D, deselect, and zoom back out again. The next thing we're going to do is manipulate the image with something called Puppet Warp. Puppet Warp gives you flexibility in manipulating an image. You can reposition areas, just like you might pull a strings on a puppet. Place pins where you want to control movement. You'll use the Puppet Warp now to tilt the model's head back so he looks like he's looking up, like this. Zoom out so you can see the entire model. With the model layer selected, yes it is, choose Edit, Puppet Warp. A mesh now appears over the visible areas on the layer. The mesh appears over the model. Remember, the rest of it is masked out. We're going to use the mesh to place pins where we want to make sure there's no movement. First thing you're going to do is click around the edges of the shirt. Every time that you make a click, Puppet Warp is going to add a pin. So put in about 10 pins. Or more. I put way more than 10 in. The pins that you added around the shirt are going to keep it in place as you tilt the head. Stick a pin at the nape of the neck. So make sure you've got one back here and make sure that that's the one that's selected. Now you're going to press your Alt key, Option if you're on Mac. You're going to get a larger circle around the pin, and it's got a double curved arrow next to it. Do you see that? There it is. Continue to hold down your Alt button or Option and drag the pointer to rotate the head backwards. We're looking for about a 135-degree angle. So you're going to have to drag it around a little bit to get there. When you're satisfied with the rotation on it, go up to the top and click the Commit Puppet Warp button. Now go up and save what you worked on. And then we're going to move into channels. Channels let you access specific kinds of information. Alpha channels store selections as grayscale images. Color information channels also store the information about color in different channels. So an RGB image has a red, a green, a blue, and a composite channel. Channels contain the image's color and selection information. Layers contain the painting and the effects. We're going to use an alpha channel now to create the shadow for the model. We're going to convert that image then to CMYK, and we'll use the black channel to add color highlights to the hair. We already created a mask of the model. To create a shadow, you want to essentially duplicate that mask and then shift it. We're going to use an alpha channel to make that possible. You're going to first Control click or Command click on the Mac the layer icon in the model layer. You're going to get the crawling ants around the mask section. Choose Now Select, Save Selection. We're going to call this Model Outline, and we want it to be a new channel, and say OK. Nothing changes at all in the Layers panel or in the image window, but we have now a new channel that is called Model. We have Model Mask and we have Model Outline. You can see what it looks like. We go to and turn everything back on and turn that off. Click the Create a New Layer button now. Let's go back into Layers. At the bottom of the Layer panel, drag that layer down below the model so the shadow will be below the image. Rename that shadow. With the shadow layer selected, we still have that channel layer thing that we did selected. Make sure that it's selected. If you somehow lost your selection, go up to Select, Load Selection, and select your model outline again, okay? Because that's the one that we're going to use, so you need to have that selected. With the shadow layer selected next, you're going to choose Select Refine Edge. So go up to Select and Refine Edge and move the Shift Edge slider up to plus 36. Oh, I've gone too far. That's good. Then click OK. We increase the shadow just a little bit. Now go to Edit, Fill, and in the fill we're going to choose black. We want mode to be normal, opacity is 100%, and say OK. The shadow layer displays a fill-in black outline of the model. Shadows aren't usually as dark as the person that casts them, so we're going to reduce the layer opacity. In the layer panel, you're going to change the opacity for that layer down to 30%. The shadow is in the same position as the model, so we can't see it, so we're going to have to shift it. Right now, you're going to deselect. There we go. So you're going to not see the crawling ants. If I hide the model, you can see the shadow. Back on the shadow, we're going to go to Edit, Transform, Rotate. You're going to rotate the shadow by hand, or you can put in a minus 15 degrees in the rotation field. So we'll go up here and do a minus 15 degrees, and then drag the shadow to the left. You probably want to pull it down a little bit too, because it may not come out quite right if you don't. So don't believe the exposition, because what they have is wrong. 845 in the X field is wrong, or maybe wrong. So don't worry about it. Drag it by hand and click on the Commit Transform button, and then you can save.